Welcome to Comet Computer Private Limited, e-learning program of implementing and administering networking technologies. So we have seen about configuring router with basic parameters as a presentation. Now we have to see the execution of commands. We have the packet tracer available, and with the help of Cisco packet tracer, we are going to execute the commands. So this is very much required for all the network administrators or fresh engineers who are all going to be a network administrators. How to configure the router and basic parameters very much required for the router. So you may have hundreds of parameters for the router, but without these parameters, we will not be able to work in the organization. So this is very much important session for all the candidates who are all working as a network administrator, network desktop administrator. So let us move on to the lab session for configuring routers with basic parameters. So we are going to configure the router, and the first setting is going to be the host name. So selecting any one of the router. The backend, it is a Cisco packet tracer. So in that I have established a network diagram, and in that for one particular router we are configuring the basic things. So we were in the user execute mode. By entering enable command, we entered into privilege mode, and entering into global mode by entering the command configure terminal. Since this host name is a common parameter for the router, it has to be executed in the global configuration mode. So simple command hostname and comment. So there is a standard available for forming the name for the router or devices. But now this is a small organization or simple organization. We can go with simple commands. So saving the configuration is very much important each and every execution. So I am intentionally doing this just to make you aware of the importance of this copy command. Okay, so next is going to be the IP address, right? So it has to be executed in the interface level. So I'm just checking how many interface I have, what all the interface I have by running the show running configuration command. So I could see there are two gigabit Ethernet interface 0/0, 0/1, and two serial interface 0/3/0. This is the third module, so that's why it is showing 0/3/0 and 0/3/1. Third slot. Okay, a module is inserted into the third slot. Okay, so now we have to go and assign the IP address. We can try for assigning it to the Ethernet interface, and in this router we have gigabit Ethernet interface. So we can directly type interface gig. You do not type completely, it will understand gig 0/0. That's a port number. So command for IP address is IP space address, and what is IP address you want to give, you can mention it. And subnet mask, it's a default subnet mask. Whatever as per your design, as per your plan, you have to provide here. Okay, we cannot blindly take any of the address, so we'll have to follow it. And no shutdown is an important command I discussed already. So the interface will be by default it is in the shutdown state. To enable it, we need to type the command called no shutdown. Opposite command, right? So now we can verify whether the IP address is being stored in the router or not. So gigabit Ethernet 192.168.1.1. So it is there in the Ethernet port. So the IP address is assigned. And now banner message. So this is again should be done in the global configuration mode. Anything simple thing to remember, right? Any command or any parameter which is going to affect the entire router, and that should be executed in the global configuration mode. Whereas if it is anything specific to specific interface, IP address, other speed parameter, that should be executed in the interface level. So banner MOTD, it is mentioned for just to identify which company router we are logging in, especially during the telnet session. We may not know. By mistake, if I type any IP address wrongly, I would have gone to some other company router or any firewall. So if I'm seeing the banner message, I have to exit the session so that I'm not getting captured via any cybercrime cases. Okay, so it is unauthorized access to any of the devices is a cybercrime. Okay, so just exit from the session, and after saving it, see, you are seeing the message. Whenever I log into the router, I'll get this message. So being an employee of the particular organization, I am okay to have that message. But for telnet session from the remote, by mistake, if they enter any wrong IP address, one or two numbers changed, right? So it will be in a trouble. So this banner message will be helping them to find out whether it is a uh, specified company router or some other router. Timeout. So timeout is very important for the security parameter. So normally, security team will be auditing our router on a regular basis to find out all these basic security restrictions are there. Because if you are not having this restriction and timeout is not set, what will happen? User once log into the router, he'll be continuing the session as long as he shut down the desktop or laptop. And if he's going moving out of his desktop, his desktop session will get logged out after 15 minutes. What will happen to the router session? So somebody if enter, they just shut down the router, whatever the router, it will be a problem, right? So we need to avoid it. Okay. So that's the reason what we are doing. We are setting up the time limit. So don't go beyond 5 minutes and don't give less than a minute. Okay. So both the things are risky. If you give 30 seconds and all, so normally I'm giving 60 seconds. That itself is very low. But anyway, if you give 30 seconds, even if you before typing the next command, the session will get timeout. So you should be very fast in the cancel the command. So 30 seconds is too critical. So 60 seconds or 5 minutes is okay. So to set the timer. So now we are waiting for a minute to find out whether I'm just getting kicked out of my router session. So we'll wait and see whether I'm just getting out. So it is 2:29, 15, and 30. So normally network infrastructure team is implementing the commands. A network security team or corporate security team will be providing the guidelines for restrictions. So they will give instruction to configure this command. We have to configure it, and then they will audit it, so whether the restriction is there or not. See, now the session is timed out. So after a minute, it is timed out. So this is very useful configuration parameter for router. Any router or any switch, anything, we need to have this timeout session. For our desktop operating system, we go with screensaver, right? As soon as the screensaver session initiates, the system is getting logged out, and you have to provide a password to enter into the system login. Okay, logging synchronous. So this is the command used for suppressing the alert message. Okay, so just execute the command. Nothing extra required. It should be done in the console mode. So I'm just executing in the console mode itself because it's a common parameter for the router. So save the configurations. So I'm intentionally writing this command again and again just to keep you updated that this command is very important, and every time you have to um, set copy this command. So if at all you are planning a change request for a router, then you can execute all the commands. At one last statement should be copy statement. Okay. Clock. Yeah. So normally when we configure, we'll be integrating the devices with the NTP server to have a uniform clock timing. Otherwise, we can enter it manually up to the current minute or seconds, so that it will get synced with the networking devices. So if it is not syncing, then there will be a conflicting issue, so synchronization issue. So domain controller, all those things will have a problem. So what we will do in the real time, um, okay, while setting the clock, the month should be in numbers. Sorry, month should not be in numbers. It should be in three-letter alphabet. Okay, so I gave it a number, so it is throwing me a message. and it is exactly showing that caret symbol against the 04. So that is a place I made a mistake. So I have to use alphabets for mentioning the month, and it is accepting. So now, while configuring the devices as DCE, all the devices are DT device in the Cisco manufacturing. But for lab purpose, I'm going to connect the routers back to back. Only for lab purpose, not for the production purpose. In lab only, we'll be connecting back to back for simulating some remote connectivity problem or setup problem. So we have to find out which interface, and see, in the interface by default it is in the shutdown state, and clock rate is already set. It is not enabled, already set. So I'll have to provide IP address and set the clock rate, and you can mention no shutdown, okay? Because it is in the shutdown state already, you have to type no shut, so that the interface will be enabled for the DC device. So in CCNA exams, they'll ask what is the command used for converting a device from DTE to DCE. You have to mention clock rate, okay? We can also use another command called bandwidth that we'll discuss in the next slide. So clock rate is the primary command used for making your device as a DC device. So one router will send the details, other router will have to receive it. So that way we have to follow the commands. So while updating the picture, right, the session got disconnected. It has taken more than a minute. Okay. Now let me go to the session. So this is very specific to the interface. So what I'm doing, I'm just choosing the specific interface, going to the global configuration mode, and so which interface I'm going to choose? Gig 030. Clock rate is mentioned as 2 with 6 zeros. We can choose the available rate as per the table provided by Cisco routers. You can take a help from Cisco and by typing question mark and find out what are the bits per second BPS is available. So now go to global configuration mode, then go to interface mode S03/0 and type the command clock space rate. I'm choosing the different value. It was with the 2 crore or 2 with the 6 zeros. I'm just choosing 19,200 for example, okay? Then just configuring the IP address because the interface has to be enabled to record all this in informations. It is very simple command what I'm typing here. IP address command which I already seen in the same session. Default subnet mask. No shutdown, short form is no shut, or you can just type no sh. Again, go to run and find out the serial interface. Yeah, so from 2 with 6 zeros, the clock rate is changed to 90,200. This is just to show you how we are taking the information from the system. Parallelly, we have other command called bandwidth. So you can also type the command show controllers to find out whether the change is reflecting in your system properly. Show controllers, specific interface. So here you can see it has become a DC device, DC V.35. Clock rate is 19,200. It is highlighted here. Clock rate is 19,200. That is the one I set it, the router. So bandwidth, it is mentioned in kilobits. Okay, it's not BPS, it is kilobits. So same, go to the global configuration mode and go to interface mode. So type the command bandwidth, how much you require, you can type it. It is taking 10,000 as a bandwidth. Okay, so copying done. Now show interface. So we need to understand by seeing the show interface command, it says serial interface is down, line protocol is down. As discussed, right, first section is the physical connectivity, second section is the logical connectivity. As of now, for this particular interface, both the sessions are down. So it is not enabled. One thing is you have not enabled the shutdown command, no shutdown command in router. It will show you administratively down. Easily, we can easily find it out. So this one means logical connection is also failure and physical connection is also failure. So that's a understanding from this particular command. So other parameters we have seen in the other session. So now history commands. So history commands normally router will store 10 last commands, whatever we typed in the system, 10 last command it will keep. It is used for easy access and typing the big commands. You can use the commands. Okay, so we can increase up to 255, 255, 256 also. So, but having more memories to be remembered, it will consume more memory space and we'll not have that much space also. So we can strict with 5 or 10 maximum, okay? Not more than that. Just how to execute the command. Yeah, we have executed the command. Show terminal history. History is enabled. History size is 25. That's it. So now the configuration is enabled with the uh, router history command. We can change it back to any time if you feel the router has become slow after running this command because it is directly consuming the memory space. So some of the history command available. Show commands. Show version that shows the version of the Cisco iOS we have seen, right? So that will be helpful for getting the details about the router operating system, licensing information, serial number, etc., etc. And mainly configuration register value. This is very important. Keep it safe. We can easily track it for some other operation. Here we can get serial number of the router, host name and serial number. That is the name kept by Cisco organization, PID, and serial number. So show running command, running configuration shows all the configurations available in the router. So both running and startup command are same until otherwise. You have to run the copy command so that whatever available extra in run statement will get copied to the startup command statement. So that's the reason we have to run this copy command always in the session. Show flash, it gives how many operating system available and how many memory space available as of now. Based on that, you can store the files. Show flash, show interface, it will show you all the interfaces. If you want to see the summary, then show IP interface brief. You can run this command to get the overall interface details in a summary pattern. So one command you'll get the complete details about the router interfaces. So some of the important points to remember. Show command will work only in privilege mode. It will not work in other modes. If at all you want to run this command, you have to put do in front of the other command so that you can execute the same show command in all other levels. Only thing is you have to add the two character do. And copy command should be used in privilege mode. You cannot use it in some other mode. Um, so in Cisco, reversing of any commands required, we can add no. Just type no and type the command, and it will execute opposite way. Okay, so that is the configuration of router. Type question mark to get any help in Cisco. Yeah, so once you type the question mark, you will get help. Half typed questions, half typed commands, so you don't know the command available. Type question mark, you will get the uh, command, the complete command, and all the options available in the command. So these are all helping commands for learning. So anything you got stuck, you can get more details from the uh, configuration commands. Fine, we have come to the end of the topic and we are completing the basic configurations of the router. Hope the session is clear for you and just closing this session. Thank you very much.